Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today for our first Q&A Zoom meeting. And it's great to see we've got a good attendance here. I'm going to go through a few things this morning. I'll do a quick introduction to the platform the Canvas platform that everybody's going to be working on, as well as the template file. And we'll just look at lesson one. And I see there's a couple of questions on the in the general help and questions discussion board. So I might just fit those in and answer them during our meeting today. So yeah, let us move forward here. So I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. All right. So I thought it'd be helpful just to give you a quick overview of the Canvas platform here, and let us see where we're at here. Okay, well, I will move forward as if I'm logging in. So you're going to probably see different things when you log in here. So I wouldn't be, so here we go. And again, this screen on the left, the menu on the left might be a little different than yours, but no big deal there. Basically, what you want to do is pay attention to a couple things here. On the far left, you have some obvious icons here about your account. There's a dashboard here. If you are taking more than one class, calendar, I don't use that. The inbox here is certainly really valuable. And this is where you send and receive messages to either other students or myself. So this is what you would use, and it's pretty easy. You just compose a new message here on the right to send out a message to somebody. So that's one way you can get a hold of me if you feel like you're stuck and need some help. This is a good avenue to go. You may receive some messages through here. In fact, when I send out a message about just before each Zoom meeting, so a few days before the event, I'll send you a link, and it's going to be the same link through the whole course. So if for some reason you can't find it, it's on the discussion board here too. We have a resource page, and the biggie down here is the help. So if you are looking for technical support with the platform, this is the place you want to go. They will have 24/7, I believe they have 24/7 chat on here for students. This is a little bit different than what you'll see. But yeah, this is a good place to go for technical support on the platform itself. I wouldn't be able to help you with that, but when we look at course related things, that's where I can definitely help you out. So let's get rid of that. And we will go back to where we were here. Yeah, so on the left, you have a menu here that you want to explore a little bit. And there's announcements, there's a module section, which is really interesting. One of the most interesting parts of this, I think, is in the resource section of it. And if we go down here to a heading called Client Interface, which is a funny title, this is great because there's, I think, 4 or 5 of us that did short videos on our client process. So how we deal with clients, how we structure our drawings. Andrew's done one, I've done one, Kilda and Neil. So check those out because they're all completely different. And if you are wanting to get into permaculture design as a career, or you're already designing and you wish to just see how other people are doing it, this might be a really interesting item to explore. Let's see here. There's a little bit about re-enrollment. So occasionally people will not be able to finish the course and there's an opportunity to re-enroll for a small fee. There are a number of different, there's a main help board that you can use. And I'm also going to show you the help board that's really specific to our group here. But there's a number of things in the resource section you can check out, graphics and software tutorials and mapping. So some good things there. And then we just get into lesson by lesson, a little bit of info on each of those. Yeah. So probably the main part of the platform that you'll be utilizing is the discussion boards, and that's how we'll interact, and that is also how you'll post all your work. So if we come here, and again, this is going to be a little different for yourself. Our first discussion board that people have been jumping into here is the introduction. So that's great. Thank you for everybody who has introduced themselves here. There's a few people I haven't responded to, which I will today. But you can see that it's pretty simple. We have everybody's post, and then you have an opportunity to reply to that post, which is fairly simple. If you want to create a post on this page, you would do so by at the top hitting the reply button here, and then you can just say whatever you want. And then just post that, and it will show up right here. Now, if you want to get rid of that, you can come over and edit or delete that, and it's gone. Okay, so you can always edit whatever you've posted, so that's super easy. But this is our introductory. So one of the easy ways to navigate within the discussion boards is just going up to this part of the menu and hitting that, and you will then see all of our discussion boards come up, and they'll be pinned boards, and then there'll be other boards down below here. So what I do is each week is I will pin one of these up like so. So all the relevant boards should be up in the top here. And there's a couple of interesting things here. So if you run into a little glitch here and you have any questions you want answered, this is a great spot to do that. That's in the general help and questions area here. Okay. I do monitor this and answer it quickly. So there's a couple of questions here from a couple of days ago I will answer right now during the call. I will do so in a few minutes here. Let's just back up. So there's general help. There's an open thread. So if anybody wants to post anything to other classmates here that you're inspired about or want to dive deeper into, you can certainly do that on this board. All of our Q&A Zoom meetings, the recordings, there'll be a link within this discussion board. And then I've got our Google document, which is a Q&A document. Got that here. It looks like Brian's filled that in. We're going to take a look at that. And then we have all of the dates for our meetings. And you'll see there's a break, Christmas break here or holiday break. And then we're back at it in the new year. So if for some reason you are unable to find the link to a meeting, this is the link we'll be using. And then there are numbers here you can phone in if that's what you prefer. Yeah, so that is the Q&A Zoom meetings. And again, I post a link to each of our meetings within that. And then we have our lesson 1 introduction here. And that's very strange. I thought I had pinned that, but we'll pin that. So the first thing you're going to do next Monday or by next Monday is post your lesson 1 assignment. And we'll go through how to do that. That's pretty straightforward. Before we get, I think I'll come back to the questions here. So Brian, just a little bit of patience here. I'll get back to that, your questions. So thank you very much for filling that in. Let us take a brief look at assignment number 1. And I'll just point out here that what you want to do is, before you start any work, is you want to download the PDC Pro template file. So you just need to click on that and it's going to bring you to this master. This is the master template file. So this is not usable. As you can see, it's for view only. We can just look through it. So we have to make a copy of this in order to make it usable for our purposes. So to do that, what you want to do is go under File here, and you're going to make a copy of the entire presentation. And, putting your name at the front might be a good idea. And then it's going to save this to your Google Drive. So you're going to make a copy. And we're just going to have to wait a couple minutes because it's a pretty big document. And then voila, we have that. And you'll notice that there is a lot more menus available up here. So this is now ready to use. And the first thing we're going to do is just go through the initial slides here. So we are just looking for a personal survey, a little bit about yourself. If you have any questions about these slides, you'll notice that there are video tutorials within each slide. So even if we go back to the first one here and you navigate around that slide, you'll see there's all sorts of tutorials on getting started. So everybody is going to have various levels of competency with Google Documents. So if you've never used them before, there are, again, a lot of tutorials you can take a peek at here. There we go. Yeah, so on those relevant pages, there are tutorials, and they're very, very typically quite short. So you don't have to endure a long video to get a little bit of info. And yeah, we just want you to give us a little bit of info about yourself, your relevant experience, and what you're hoping your goals are going to be for the course. And then this is very interesting to go through here and just to see how you're going to utilize your PDC Pro certificate when you're done. So some of you will want to carry on and be a designer installer. Others, maybe you're just using this for your own personal property and not too concerned about getting into the design world. And that's completely fine, of course. But yeah, this just gives us a little bit of an idea of what you're hoping to do. And again, there's more tutorials here. And then we get into the design site. So a little bit about the history in terms of basically an Aboriginal acknowledgement here. Go through that. And then we are going to be looking at just some very rough images of the macro to micro. And here's some examples. And that's one thing you'll notice. There'll be often examples from other students on the right side of your slides here. So this is sort of a typical layout. You can use this or you can use this. It doesn't really matter. They're both really well done. We have a very clear idea of where this project site's located. Let's see here. And then we just want to know a little bit about the surrounding settlements. So what's going on around your area? And again, we have examples. So if you're not quite sure what this should look like, again, you can take a look at some of the examples that are here. So finally, we're going to kind of get to the design site itself. And this is just a Google Earth image. And this is a rough property line the student created. And again, if we go back to the slide, there's going to be a tutorial here you might want to check out. And again, some of you are going to be more familiar with using Google Earth than others. It's not too onerous as far as the software goes, and it is very, very useful because it's free to use, and it's going to give us, a nice aerial shot. Now, I don't typically use Google Earth Pro for any of my work, but it is. I'll show you a little bit later what I do with it. We will typically, not typically, but often we'll do a drone survey so we get a higher resolution image for our design work. Yeah, so that's where you're going to put your aerial image, and then you're going to have some shots from the ground. Give us an idea what things are looking like, and just giving us an idea of the location where you're taking an image from. So again, there are examples here you can take a look at. Go. And then you'll notice that most of the assignments at the end, we have what's called a SWOT analysis. And there's a little bit of an explanation here on the left. But basically what it is a good exercise to go through, because once you, let's say, put together your base, not your base plan, but you've indicated your project site location and a little bit about it, you may be able to reflect now on, based on the work you've done, what are some of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and perhaps threats. Perhaps the project site is in a spot that leaves it a little bit vulnerable for one reason or another. So, yeah, and again, here's some examples you can take a look at. So that's really helpful having these examples here. And, nice thing about the template file is it gives you, a very professional looking portfolio for the course. And as we go through the course, I'll be showing some examples of the work my wife and myself do and what our design deliverables are. And you'll notice it's similar but different to what's going on with the template file. But this again is a really great place to start, and gives you It's great on the educational end of it. And at the end of the course, there may be aspects of this you would like to use on a professional basis. So also, if you have any feedback or questions, this is a good place to put them. And typically what I will do is, let's go a little further. I'll get to that. The climate survey here is the last piece of this first lesson, and it's pretty straightforward. We're looking for climate data specific to your site or as close as you can get. So for instance, where I live in a town called Lantzville, and we don't have a weather station here, but probably 30 miles away we do, and that's what I would have to use for any climate information, and it would be pretty close. So you'll notice some really important items here in my estimation would be annual average rainfall, and if you can get it, the extreme daily rainfall event. So that would be a record 24-hour rainfall event. Where I live, that's close to 4 inches, but it's going to be completely different wherever you are. And it's very, very helpful in terms of designing rainwater harvesting systems and knowing what peak flows may be going into your system. So that's an important one. These are pretty straightforward, and you can get this data quite easily. I'll give you an example here. If I just go to nearby town of Nanaimo, and on Wikipedia, they often have climate data right here. And this is a really helpful bit of information. And it'll often be in metric and imperial units or US units. So a lot of times people just take a screenshot of this, and that's great. So that's a easy way of accessing overall data for an area that's listed on Wikipedia. So that's one way. There are others. Yeah, so you can fill this in, and actually having your average annual rainfall month to month is a very, very helpful thing to know if you can get that. And it does, again, show you that in here. So with rainwater harvesting calculations, this is a really important piece to know what you get month per month. And some other factors, maybe wind, some wind direction. Gosh, I used to have, I'll have to look for it. I do have a good site for wind. It might be here as well. Historical wind data. Yeah, so you can check that out. And then again, we have a SWOT analysis. So after going through your climate survey, are there things that jump out at you that you notice? You might think, wow, we have incredible mild climate, or, we have lots of rainfall, and that's an opportunity for collection. Again, you might have, early or frosts early in the spring or early in the fall. And again, some of these threats could come in terms of storms. I wouldn't say necessarily, it might be wildfire, but that's a little bit of a stretch to put in the climate section here. But no worries either way. And then, of course, we have feedback or questions. So that is just a quick overview of lesson number 1. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to put your hand up. There's little icon on the screen that should allow for that, or you can open the chat window and just type a question in there, and I get notified of that, and we can, so a couple different ways if you do have questions as we're going through this. So let me go. I think that's it. Okay. So let's do one more thing regarding the template. So let's say I have gone through and I have finished my first lesson and I want to post it to the discussion board. So what I would do is I'd have to share it. So right now you can see that this document, I'm the only one that can view it. So to change that, we want to click on that share button. And if we come down to general access, you want to click anyone with a link, and then you get to decide what you would allow. So often people will allow others to comment on their work. You might want it just to view, people to view it, and they can comment in the discussion board. I wouldn't necessarily recommend allowing others to edit your work. So either one is great, right? So go to the one you want, and then you just hit copy link, and that will place that link on your clipboard. And then all we do is we go to the lesson one discussion board. So if we click on discussions, we get a list of the different boards here. So we go there, and we'll go through this as well. But to post your work, you would just hit the reply button at the very top of the screen here. And you could say, here's my lesson one. And there's a few ways you can do it. You can post the link that we copied, right? Or you could highlight some text and you could place a link within that. So both of these hyperlinks are the same. And then you just hit reply. And there's your work. And then if you want to comment on somebody's work here, you would just hit the reply button. And on the right, it should show us something here. Oh, it's showing it below. Okay. So right there, I could put a comment here for Harold. So I could put a comment here for Harold and then hit reply, right? So it's a kind of funny way of posting. If you're posting your work, you want to do it from up here. And if you are commenting on somebody else, which we encourage you to do, you would do that from the board, the reply below each individual's work here. So if you make a mistake and you don't want this to be posted, you can either go and edit, or we can just delete that. Okay. So at the top, one of the nice things here too is we try and bundle all the information into one place. So you'll notice that there's a lot of information and tutorials within the template file itself. Okay. And then on the discussion board, there will also be a lot of information. So we have the template link here. We have a little bit of information on the personal survey on your design site. There's a little link here too. If you're kind of wondering about your design site and whether it's appropriate, you can click on this link and a little document will we'll go there now. It's just some of the strategies of choosing So what can I say here that might help you? The one thing that I have come across is number 3 here. You want to have a site that has a building on it. And if you don't, if it doesn't have a building on it, from my perspective, that's okay. What I would ask you to do is to place a proposed building footprint on your base plan when you do that, where somewhere where you would put a structure. So if you have a vacant lot or an acreage without any structures on it, you want to use it, no worries. Just have a proposed building footprint in there. So yeah, so that should help you out. And again, there's some explanation here about your design site map. And then a little bit about your client survey. Whoops, didn't hit the, right. And then we have assignment resources. So if you go here on each discussion board, you'll have a variety of resources. So there's all sorts of tutorials here. And we have some climate resources inside and outside of the US. But I think most of you are from the West Coast here of the US. And then we have our submission rubric due date. And here's another little tutorial on how to copy, like we've gone through, and how to share it. So we've already done that. And this is your rubric. So this is what I use when I grade your work. So it's a good thing to look at the rubric as you're putting your work together, just to make sure you have everything included. And if you've included all of these things and they're correct, there's no reason why you wouldn't get full marks. If you've left things out, then you'll be graded accordingly. And let's say you did leave something out and you wanted to improve on it after I've reviewed it and graded it, you're quite welcome to do so. You can update or make changes to your assignments at any time, and just let me know and I can take a peek at it and update your mark accordingly. Okay, so the one thing that is super helpful is that you get your work submitted on time. Okay, so what I have found is it's very easy to fall behind, and things happen in life, right? It may be the case where you just can't do it, and fair enough. Just try your best, but if you fall a couple weeks behind, you're going to find it really hard to get caught up again. So you'll notice that the note I sent, I guess it was on Friday, kind of an introductory note to everybody, that I will review and grade your assignments, and then I will provide you with video feedback. So I will just do a Zoom recording. I'll have your work on the screen and we'll go through it, and then I'll provide you feedback that way. And most people really enjoy that. If for some reason that doesn't work for you, let me know. And I can certainly give you more of a traditional feedback with in a written format. And the video feedback is just it's in a link here. So I can give you an example. So we'll just go to another class there's actually 2 classes that are going on simultaneously. Let us go to lesson 1 assignment here. I'm just going to show you an example of some feedback here. So here is there we go. So this is typically what I'll do. It'll just be Nice work. Here's some comments. So you would click on this link, and it is a Dropbox link. So you'll be sent to this. Now you don't have to download or do anything. You can just hit play and watch it. Or if you wish, you can download the video. So it's a very simple. There we go. I don't think you can hear that, but anyways, I think it's a good way of providing feedback. So again, you can download this or you can just leave it as is. It does not matter at all. We can get rid of those. All right, so that's how I provide feedback. Now, if your assignment is over a week late, I don't know if I would, I can't guarantee I can give you that video feedback, but I will definitely grade your lesson, no problem. So I would encourage you not to do that, try and stay on time. There has been cases in the past where somebody has got to the end of the course and then submitted like 4 or 5 lessons all at once. And, it's not ideal. It would be, I will certainly grade them. There's no problem there. It's just maybe not ideal for the student, because that's one of the things I think differentiates this course from others is you have assignments you're doing every other week, but you're also getting feedback from myself. And I think that's very helpful for a lot of people.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's fun. All right, so I think we got to lesson 1, and we've looked at the discussion boards and where to seek some help here. We've gone through that document. So yeah, this is our Q&A document. So that will be, if we go and look at the Zoom, the Q&A Zoom recording discussion board, that document's linked here. So if you have a question, let's say you can't make the meeting, or you have a question you really want to make sure it's answered, place it here and we will go through that. So let's go through Brian's. So Brian's got a lot of good questions here. So let's go take a peek at it. So first one, under the climate survey in lesson 1, what's the difference between climate type and Köppen climate? Right, that's a good question. So if we go back, there we are. So climate type. Climate type. So let's say we're talking about the climate where I live. I'd be coastal, temperate. That's what I would call the West Coast, where I live anyways. In BC, probably, Oregon and Washington could be lumped into that if you're near the coast. Cold continental, that would be more inland, right? And tropical rainforest. There are more and more examples of this, but that's the kind of response we're looking for. It's just a very general, what's the climate type? Now, if we get into Köppen-Geiger map climate classification, it's quite a bit different. It is, I won't get into that here too deeply. It's very interesting. It's made up of different groups, and you can see here they're A through E. There is a map here where I live on Vancouver Island here. Oops, that didn't really help. I'm a CSB. So again, it is a very different system. was developed years ago, and you can read about it here if you wish. And let's see where CSB. So where I am, it's a warm summer Mediterranean. Now you get down into California a little, you're going to be going CSA, where it's hot summer Mediterranean. But there are parameters that lump a given area into this. So you have to, it's basically based on temperature and precipitation. Okay, so they're quite a bit different, those two items. And we will not be visiting Köppen-Geiger climate classification at all during the rest of the course. It's just out of interest. Yeah, it's the system we look at closer when we get into the advanced permaculture design course. It's another course that's offered through OSU. So hopefully that helps you out there, Brian. Yes, and Ariel had a question on the climate survey. What's the difference between USDA hardiness and USDA cold hardiness? Climate survey. So that's probably just not worded correctly. Hardiness zone would be the USDA plant hardiness. So if you just can have a plant hardiness zone map, and if you go to images here, you'll get you can even get specific. Let's say for Oregon. So this is what we're after. What is the zone that you're in? So in Oregon, it's going to go from 4B, which is pretty cold, way up to 9B. And Portland, I think it's around 8B. That's in and around where I live up in Vancouver Island here. So yeah, that's what we're after. So I think this, the other thing that the USDA does is they'll do extreme cold maps. So it's not quite the same, but we are looking for just the plant hardiness. That's what we want there. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of, there we go, little map here. And, you know, for whatever reason, our Canadian zone and the American aren't the same. I have no idea why, but they're close, but not the same. So hopefully that makes sense. And where do you recommend posting questions? Yes, the general help's a good spot, or this document as well. If you're not in as much of a hurry, this document gets looked at during the Q&A the Q&A videos. So if we go back, and normally I'm looking at this multiple times a week, and I see there's a couple questions Friday I did not get to. However, that's not normally, this is normally the best place to post that. Yeah, so another good question, Brian. So what I would like everybody to do is when you're submitting your assignment, what we're going to do is we're going to build a portfolio. So the first lesson, you know, basically I would be sharing your entire document. And what happens is as we go through all these lessons, let's say you're in lesson 4, I think that's 4 or 3. Yeah, this is 4, microclimates and zones. If you submit, say, lesson 4, and I'm going through it, and I have a few questions about your climate, let's say, or something you posted earlier, I can easily go back and take a look at all that information. So having the portfolio kind of building on that each week is the way I would recommend it to go, rather than extracting. Yeah, so the entire document is the way to go. Cool. All right, so let's see if we have covered everything here. Is there any questions at all? Does anybody have before we go through anything else here?
So I had issues finding my document when I shared it to Google Docs.
Ah, oh yeah.
So I downloaded the PowerPoint. I switched it over to PowerPoint, and I have it on my own um, drive now. Um, it still allows me to share a link from my PowerPoint, so I guess I'll try it that way, or can I just download the whole file into the discussion?
Yeah, what I would suggest, Shauna, is staying in this Google Docs format, because what you'll
Mm-hmm.
find, this is over 150 pages, I believe. Well, we're
Mm-hmm.
pretty close. And if you were to share this as a PDF, for the first assignment or two, no big deal. But we're sharing the whole um, portfolio as it's being built. And once we start getting into more and more of the lessons, that file becomes pretty large. So the Google Doc format that we're in right now just allows that sharing without any download having to take place. Um, so that's what I might suggest. Um, does that make sense? And I would stay away from PDFs if you
Yeah,
can.
but the problem is being able to find that file again. I mean, I was able to, I guess I started on my iPad, then I went to a laptop, and then of course I had another computer, and
Yeah.
I couldn't find my file again.
Well,
I
yeah, all you have to do if you're on a web browser. So
mm-hmm,
here I'm in Chrome, and I prefer Chrome for Google Documents. And you just go and we'll go to here, recent. So this is my Google Drive,
mm-hmm.
right? And here are all my, this is under recent. There's my drive itself. So you'd have to go to your own drive and discover where that might be here. So the document I just copied will probably be way down here. There you go.
So this isn't like a Google Drive that's through OSU. This would be
This is
like
your
a
drive.
my drive. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therein lies the problem.
Yeah. So you just go on a web browser to your drive,
Okay.
and then you can open up any document you want. Let's see here. So there's what I just made a copy of.
Mm-hmm.
I can open that up. And that's one nice thing here. You can go to recent or you can go to the drive itself, right? So a couple of ways you can find it. And then you can work on it here. And any work you do here is automatically saved and it
Mm.
doesn't take up hard drive space. So there's a few. I do quite a bit of work with Google Documents, and very very handy in a lot of ways, and maybe not handy in others. But for this course, it's very very useful. So just take a look at your drive. That's where you want to head.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let's see here. Discussion board. So I think we've covered pretty much everything. We've got a few minutes left here. Is there anything else that anybody has any questions about? Happy to go over it. Okay. Yeah, well, let me just find something here. So maybe what I'll do, I'll just stop share. So this will be the sort of thing I will share with you down the road. Is this is one of our this is a design we're working on right now, and we've started with a base plan here, and we have a drone image down below with some contour data. And I don't want to throw too much at people on the first meeting here, but this is the sort of thing we'll do. We'll share what we're doing with others. And again, I don't want to go too far into it, but we have lots of examples that we can provide. So instead of with Jan Designs, with our deliverables, instead of it being a 150-page template file, it's going to be more like, maybe 10 pages of drawings. But as we go through the course, I'll be sort of walking you through, each step that we do, so you can kind of compare that and just get an idea of what we're doing. I've got a couple of questions here. One from Rachel: is your drone collecting all the contour data? In this case, yes. And I don't have a drone. We have to contract that out. Funny enough, normally the answer would be yes, Rachel. I remember on this project, I wasn't very happy with the contour data. It was not, I wasn't happy with that. So what I did was we use a software called QGIS, and I can show you that here. It's a open source software. I wouldn't necessarily recommend anybody dive into this right now. It's not an intuitive software at all, but what it does is we can go to a LiDAR portal. So we get LiDAR data in British Columbia here. And well, I know in Oregon, everywhere has some of it. I don't know where the data is. It looks like they changed this a bit. But what I did, I wasn't happy with the data. So I went into the portal here and I downloaded the data I needed off of this. And then I used QGIS and I created my own contours. So, but normally you're right. I would get them both in one bundle and be happy with that. So I hope that makes sense. And I don't want to get into this part of it, even as I love mapping and it's fascinating. And I love the fact you can access this info and it's free, but yeah, we'll kind of leave it as a broad thing for now. But Christopher had a question here. Do you have any suggestions for low cost drone? Well, we have a contractor that we use on Vancouver Island where I live, and I've used the person, oh gosh, for years. So you just have to find a drone survey company that's in your area. Brian, you have some drones. It's easy to use. Right on. Yeah, unfortunately, in Canada, you have to have a pilot's license to operate a drone that's above a certain size. And the only ones we're allowed to utilize without a pilot's license would be taking photos only. So that's not really useful. For me, I want photos and I want the topography. Um, and most of the time, with this example, this original contours are done with a LiDAR drone, right? So normally very, very good. And the reason that's so good is if we look at, just zooming in on this drawing, if we go down to the bottom here, you can see this slope here is wooded. So that's the one thing that's nice about LiDAR. It sees through the trees and can give you accurate topographic info, whereas other types of drone surveys, the photogrammetry, it can't see through trees. So that's a big one if you have a wooded property. And Rachel has another question here. Do you ever have instances where you take elevations on the ground? Yes, we do. If we're doing a small residential lot, we'll do that. We'll go through, we have our own laser leveler. We'll go in and we'll just take spot elevations and we can create contours from that on our software. But for the most part, if we're doing larger sites, like I think this is 3 acres, we want to survey the whole property because I want to know how the water is traveling across the site. And but we're going to get into that. That's lesson 5. That's a tricky lesson too. So yeah, so I hope that helps. Great. That's great, Rachel. Yeah, so we're going to be kind of diving into all sorts of things through the course. And really, I'm a resource here for you guys that you can, utilize as much as you want in terms of, certainly in terms of these Q&A videos. If you are wanting to get into the industry or wanting to get into designing and you have questions about that, you can certainly bring those to the meetings here as well. We typically will spend about half the meeting on a lesson, the upcoming lesson, and then the other half is sort of an open forum of questions. So yeah, so please ask away. Happy to share what I've learned over the I guess last 4 decades. And yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. And it looks like we're coming to the end of our meeting today. Is there any other questions before we kind of sign off here? And thanks very much to Brian for adding some of that info there for Christopher. That's super helpful. And drones are really, really interesting for sure. And you're welcome, Alex. Yeah, it's a big rabbit hole, the permaculture rabbit hole, and there's so much one can learn. And I must say, I've been in the landscape industry for, I guess it's 40 years now, and I just, you do not know it all and never will. So that's one wonderful thing about it. But yeah, everybody have a great week. Thank you very much for your participation here, and we'll look forward to seeing your assignments next Monday. So next Monday at 9, I'll take a look at them and provide you guys with some feedback, and we'll go from there. So thank you again, and take care.